BONX is Tokyo-based startup, which is 7 years old now, and I founded it in 2014. And this is today's agenda. I'll explain briefly our company and the business, then product and technology, then team and culture, then I'll talk about recruitment. Well, first of all, about our company and our business. So this is our vision and mission. The world is our playground, or Sekai wa boku ra no asobibada in Japanese. And the mission is create smile and future for teams. Or in Japanese, チームの笑顔と未来を作る. And yeah, we are trying to do it globally and universally. So the meaning behind it is, as I'm going to explain in the next section, what we offer as a company is voice communication platform for teams, teams which are working or playing in different kinds of fields. So for example, snowboarders, which is how it started, or cyclists, or construction workers, store staff, airport staff, hospital workers, all those people who are referred to as deskless workers these days. And we will offer the communication for them, and we want them to be able to enjoy what they're doing with our products. Or in Japanese, we call it like waku-waku. With our product, they can enjoy or motto waku-waku, play together and work together on the fields. So that's what we're doing. And this is what we do as a business. So we call it a team growth platform. And the main feature currently is group talk. The team can communicate freely, without stress, with each other, no matter where they are on the planet. So that's one unique aspect of BONX. The BONX can be used by desk workers like us. I believe most of you who are listening right now is desk workers. But our product is rather for deskless or non-desk workers who are active on the fields. And they have very different issues when compared to desk workers like us. We are very fortunate in terms of communication tools, right? We have Zoom, which we are using right now. And also we have Slack, Teams, or Google something, anything. Because people who are creating those tools, mainly in Silicon Valley, are all desk workers. Naturally, they focus on desk workers. But if you think about it, there are more deskless workers than desk workers. So in Japan, there are 60 million workers. And out of the 60 million, 40 million is deskless workers, which is basically not 70% of the total workforce. And only 20 million or 30% is desk workers. And they are still using walkie-talkies mainly for communication. And walkie-talkies haven't really changed since a long time ago. It's a pre-internet technology. But we have smartphone and we have internet. So why don't we leverage those new, infrastructure for better communication? Because that was my original idea. So what I'm trying to say is those deskless workers don't have Slack or Zoom. So we can be, BONX can be Slack or Zoom for deskless workforce. And BONX is voice, which makes total sense for those deskless workers or snowboarders or cyclists, because of course you cannot really touch your phone, you cannot see the screen when you are doing the construction work or you're taking care of the customers or on the shredding on the slope. But if it's voice, you can just access it anytime you want while you're working or playing on the field. So that's where we see the great opportunity, this communicate voice-based communication for deskless workforce is the major opportunity we see. And next thing we are doing is basically the evolution, a natural evolution from what we are already doing, which is group communication. So we call it voice DX. So it's as it's written, and create the future of deskless work through voice solution, leveraging our always on positioning. So what do I mean by that is deskless workers are always wearing BONX when they are working. So that positioning is very unique. So if it's a web-based or screen-based service, it's only accessible when they stop what they're doing and pick up their phone and see the screen, which could happen, I don't know, twice in an hour, I don't know. But if it's voice, if they're wearing on their ear all the time, they can use it anytime they want, or we can access the workers anytime we want. So what we can offer them is, as it's written in the small words, Alexa skill for deskless workers. Probably many of you are already using Alexa for some simple tasks. But those deskless workers, although they're probably using Alexa in their home, they're not really leveraging that kind of technology in the workplace. But if you imagine, like, if you are like airport staff working in the airport, you get the notification from the bot that, like flight, ANA 3881 is delayed 15 minutes or something like that. Or what we are actually already offering is for the car dealers, the bot would say like, Mr. Tanaka has arrived. How we're doing it is there is a thing called the number plates recognition system. So there's a camera in front of the car dealer building, and that will capture and recognize the number plate of the customer, and the system would know who has arrived, referring to their CRM. Then that information will be handed over to the bot, and the bot would say, as I said, like Mr. Tanaka has arrived, and then the dealer staff would get to know that, oh, Mr. Tanaka has arrived, and they can probably rush to the entrance and say, oh, Mr. Tanaka, we've been waiting for you, something like that. So there's plenty of opportunity for improvement of those deskless works through the voice-based technology. So that's what we are doing next, or we already touching it. So, and then, I'm going to talk about the products first. So this is a product. It's a combination of the software and the hardware. So software is a group talk system. So we offer iOS app and Android app, and then you can create the talk room with whom we want to talk to. And one talk room can hold up to 300 people. And those people can be anywhere in the world. And we also created our, I'm going to explain next, but we created our own it's a difficult word, proprietary VoIP, which is very good for usage and real fields when you're moving. So the group talk system is combined with or accompanied with hardware, which is earphones basically. And by combining software and hardware, we offer the best user experience for those teams on the fields. So for example, probably you're thinking, maybe it's better to use Apple AirPods instead of the BONX earphone, and maybe use that with the BONX app. That could work, but that doesn't work as, you know, as good as BONX earphone. I'm going to tell you why. So for example, what those our users use very often is push to talk. And those BONX earphones have the large button. You can just press and talk. And that kind of push to talk feature is only can be only realized if you make your own firmware, because the regular Bluetooth protocol doesn't really support that kind of function. And a push to talk is very important actually, because otherwise you have to, you know, touch your phone when you want to speak, which just destroys the user experience. Or our earphone is great with windy conditions as well. So if you know, working or playing outside or like on the bike, you get a lot of wind. And with AirPods, you can try, but your voice would be just destroyed with the wind noise, which is very hard to actually suppress with the DSP. But BONX earphones have the mechanical wind noise cancellation, so you can just talk while you're on the bike. So those kind of little things actually add up and become something that's actually usable on the fields for teams. That's why we make our own hardware. Now, we also offer a voice platform, which means you can connect the BONX voice platform or the BONX VoIP with the external system and offer the voice solution, like the car dealer solution I just mentioned. And our business model is called HE SaaS, which is short for hardware-enabled SaaS. So it's basically SaaS. We offer our software as a SaaS subscription, but we add hardware to it. And the customer can pay monthly or yearly for our earphone and the app or on software too. And here's our technology. What's so special about it? So the hardware is it's like a little it's basically Bluetooth earphone, but it's tuned for the great usage on the fields with our app. So as I said, you're making our own proprietary firmware. So you can do different things such as push to talk. And we also, of course, do multi-microphone DSP, noise cancellation, mechanical with noise cancellation. And it's tough, water resistancy, or shock-proof, that kind of stuff. And our new hardware, which is called BONX Boost, which is actually now on crowdfunding and has sold over 30 million yen already, is actually insanely great. It has, it's kind of like GoPro, you can attach different kinds of accessories for different needs on the fields. So if it's a extremely noisy environment, you can attach the extension microphone like that. So you can like speak, talk, even like say you're in a pachinko parlor. I don't know if you have entered that shops, but it's super noisy. The mobile app actually does a lot. It does some processing like VAD, voice activity detection. So our app has a hands-free feature. So with it, you can just talk, then the system would know that you're talking by the VAD algorithm. We created them from scratch. And when you're talking, they know it, and then you start sending your voice to the server. And when you're not talking, it doesn't transmit any data. So it offers completely hands-free experience. And of course, it does encoding, decoding. We used Wahl+, as a Wahl+. And it does communication with the hardware through BLE, Bluetooth Low Energy, and the voice communication through socket. And the app also offers additional features like text chat and speech to text. And our service system consists of VoIP and also API. And as I said, our VoIP is original. What it does is great and outdoor, especially when you're moving. So I'm tell the story later, but what it does is if you are using Zoom or Line and talking, and if you lose your connection, you'll be disconnected from the call, right? Or like if you're using FaceTime. But with BONX, and with FaceTime, you have to touch your phone again and connect back to the talk. But with BONX, when you lose the connection, it starts the reconnection process automatically. And when you regain the connection or cell network, it will automatically connect you back to the group so you can talk again, which makes a lot of difference for deskless workers or snowboarders or cyclists. Because without it, if you're cycling, if you lose the connection, you have to stop and pick up your phone and open the app and go back to the group. That is a painful experience. But with BONX, that everything goes automatic, so very easy. And API, it manages users' talk rooms, and also we offer, as I said, additional features and stuff like that, and also our voice solutions as well. And infrastructure is also very important because as I'm going to explain, BONX is used by large enterprises and also very mission critical use scenes. So resiliency is very important. And also we're adding more and more traffic, and it's going to be global soon. So we have the infrastructure has to be able to handle that kind of traffic as well. And also we have the web dashboard with it. Users can manage the users' talk rooms. Also, they can also download the recorded data. So that's our technology. And here's some interesting story behind the technology, why we got to create something that special. It's very simply because I wanted to use it for my own snowboarding experience. And that's how it all started in the beginning. So I'm a snowboarder myself. I'm shitty and suck, but I just love snowboarding a lot. So I basically spent 8 years in university. And out of those 8 years, I spent basically 4 years snowboarding around the world. So in summer here in Japan, I would go down to Southern Hemisphere like New Zealand or Argentina for snowboarding. And in winter here, I will go up to Hakuba or Hokkaido for snowboarding. And then I read the story of GoPro, which is founded by a surfer who wanted to have something easy to use when he wanted to capture what he's seeing when he's surfing. So I thought like if surfer can create something like that, probably I can create something like that as a snowboarder. And then I thought about my own pain, and I realized the biggest pain I had was communication with friends on the slope. Because of course I have my smartphone with me when I'm snowboarding, and there's like a great 4G coverage everywhere on the ski fields, or even if you go backcountry, you 80% of the time you have the connection, but you cannot use that smartphone or internet. So probably there's something to leverage those smartphone internet and create more spontaneous, better communication. So that's how it all began. And the idea was simple, but it was very difficult to realize. So we didn't mean to create our own VoIP, but we ended up making it because we needed it. As I said, even though there is great coverage in ski fields, there are some weak spots where there's no coverage or weak coverage. And for a bunch of people who are moving around in that kind of weak network or unstable network environment, the traditional VoIP, which is basically meant for stable usage, wouldn't work. So we created our own VoIP system. And we also made our hardware as well, because the third-party earphone didn't work in those kind of situations. So it's because we made our product for the toughest conditions you can really think of for team communication. The BONX became something that's usable anywhere. So that's why it's being trusted and used every day by those great enterprise clients. So now, the crazy story, which I cannot really put on the presentation, is who our first user was. And our first, our first enterprise user was. And our first enterprise user was a very luxurious, famous Italian brand, apparel brand, which starts with G. Maybe you would know which one it is already. So Gucci, I'm sorry. So the G brand discovered BONX somehow and thought, oh, this is much cooler than the walkie-talkies we are using in the stores. Why don't we try it? So we got the attention of them because it's stylish. Then they tested it out and they really liked the experience. It's much better, much smoother than regular walkie-talkies. So they decided to use it. And basically all of their stores around Japan. And then one thing led to another. It's been now used by major luxury brands. And if I'm going to mention our clients who I can disclose, it's being used by Hilton, the hotel, or like Yanase, which sells Mercedes, and also ANA, our flagship clients. If you fly to somewhere in the next vacation, if you go by ANA section, you will notice that all those ladies or gentlemen working in the ANA, section are all wearing BONX. So it's a little surreal to see that something that's originally made for snowboarding became such a great success, widely used by serious users. Okay, so that's a story behind our technology. And this is our tech stack for backend API written by Ruby on Rails, Android, Kotlin mainly, and iOS, Swift with some Objective-C, and a VoIP is written with Go, and some of the sound processing stuff is C++, and web dashboard, and with that React is used for web dashboard, and you can see the cloud service we use. Our main infrastructure is on AWS. And we use collaboration tools, which includes BONX actually. I'm going to explain later. So try to, sorry, I'm just talking too much. I'm trying to skip through the remaining sections as quickly as possible. And so here is about our team, and we really value, we really respect or think much of corporate value. And we actually call them vibes instead of value. So it's called BONX vibes. And there are 4 BONX vibes. I'm sorry, I couldn't translate them all. But I'm going to explain. So one is make smile and talk easy, fly high, and be one. So make smile is we just do our work to make smile in the face of users. That's the most important thing of our work, make smile. And next thing is talk easy. So we are a communication company. So we ourselves just communicate a lot. So that's meaning behind talk easy. And the fly high is just, let's try to grow and yeah, stretch. If you have a will, we are happy to give you the opportunities for growth. And B1 is, yeah, let's do things as a team instead of an individual. So we really respect the teamwork. And here is some philosophy of building a product. I'm sorry, there's a lot of Japanese in it, but I'll explain. So UX first is, yeah, simply is that. We think UX is the most important thing because all those professionals on the fields are using it every day. BONX is, as I said, on them all the time while they're working. So we want to make it as intuitive or as easy to use as possible for those professionals on the fields or teams on the fields. UX is the most important thing. So we're not really sticking to a certain kind of technology. So if you are like, I love, say, Python, I'm not going to use anything else. Python is the way to go. Probably BONX is not the place for you. So technology is means, not the end. So that's our philosophy. Then next thing, reliability. So as I said, BONX is used by an airport operation, and also it's used by hospital, workers, meaning like it's actually used by doctors. It's actually doing the operation in the operation room, or ambulance driver. So all the serious scene, BONX is used. So reliability is very important. And also we want our product to be global and universal. As I said, our vision is the world is our playground. So we want to make, the world, not just like a little fields, the world as many fields as possible, playground by offering our products, So we think UI UX should be very simple, and also scalability is important. And lastly, we think coolness and the stylishness is very important. Even for, not even, but for workers as well, not only for snowboarders, cyclists. They will care about styles naturally, but these desk-based workers also, they have a great pride in what they're doing. They want to be cool as possible, of course. We don't want to offer something shitty for them in terms of style as well. Here's a team structure. So we have software management team, software team and the hardware team. And I am in charge of the product team overall. And software team consists of around 10 engineers now, which is a mix of full-times and freelancers. And you can see some units, iOS, Android, API, so on. The hardware team is actually much smaller than software team because we leverage outsources. Yeah, okay. And here's our style of working. So work from home is a standard. And we have moved to WeWork Shibuya recently. So we regularly just gather and WeWork Shibuya because sometimes it's better to have face-to-face. And also we use our product every day for communication, for remote communication. I think it's a very important thing to be the user of your own product. And we are practicing it. And we are agile, Scrum, and we're doing Scrum on a weekly basis. And we offer as much support as possible for engineers for growth. We do evaluation every half year. And also we do one-on-one regularly too. Okay, so lastly, recruitment. So here is some challenges waiting for you if you join BONX. First of all, it's a great opportunity to build expertise. I don't want you to be mistaken. You don't have to have like sound related technology skill or some like hardware related experience. You don't have to have that. You can have the regular web stack skill, so to speak, and you can definitely perform with it. But there's a further opportunity to learn about like sound related technology or hardware related technology with BONX because we are using them and we have experts in those areas. So it's a good opportunity to get some edge as an engineer. And secondly, there are many exciting projects. So we are going to build the voice-based platform. We have some like seed of it, but it hasn't been really developed yet. So you're going to have opportunity to work on the voice platform, to develop the voice platform. And also we are going to put more resources into voice data analysis as well, using AI and stuff. And also we are opening up our system to external systems, connecting, those two. So we're going to have to rebuild or do the overhaul of the backend architecture. So there are many exciting projects like that. And thirdly, global. So BONX wants to be global company. And also I want our team to be global as well. So it's, to be honest, still very domestic with most of the engineers are Japanese, but we have hired the first non-Japanese engineer these days, and everybody's actually really happy about it. And we want to be more and more global. And the fourth thing is make tools, which is a little hard to understand probably, but BONX is tool for professionals. So you can just purely pursue the quality of user experience instead of thinking about whether, if the users are on the service as much as possible so we can send more ads. And that's not our business. We just want to offer the best quality tools for the professionals. So you can focus on it. And BONX has a real impact for the real world. So it can be used by real people in the real fields. And we can deliver the real-time information to those working on the field. And all those fields are very diverse. You're not like construction working, you're not the solution for construction workers. You're much more than that. It's very universal. And lastly, we give enough description for engineers. And I rather want every engineer to think about the product as a whole, or the user value for the users. So those are the challenges that's waiting for you. Okay, so we are hiring. We have recently closed Series D round. We have raised 7 million US dollars kind of money, and we're ready for growth. And especially we are looking for senior engineers in iOS, Android, and backend. So if you're interested, please, give us a call. So sorry I became pretty long, but that was it. That was my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Well, thank you, Taka-san, for presenting. It was really great to hear a lot of information. Of course, you shared as much as possible in such short time, so thank you so much for that. Now, this is the time for a Q&A session. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask the questions. We already had one earlier while you were presenting, and it's quite interesting question. It goes like, how is development handled for per customer use cases, like integrating into CRMs? And like, would a customer generally handle their own development, or do you offer direct integration?
Oh yeah, great question. Thank you. So we usually partner with third-party developers for that sort of customized development. And we try to concentrate on the platform ourselves.
Thank you. So there are a couple of more questions here. Yeah, so like, do you allow other developers, companies access the BONX SDK so they can integrate the BONX hardware into their own services?
So that's also on our roadmap. We don't really offer that now. We're not ready, to be honest, but that's in our plan.
Thank you. So do you know maybe what is the division between like business users and like individuals?
Well, I don't know the exact number, but although it started from consumers, now definitely more than 80% of our business is for businesses, B2B.
Okay. So yeah, I know you touched this already. You explained that BONX is currently actually more Japanese speaking, more domestic, right? But you want to go globally. Can you maybe expand on that?
Sure. I'm just gonna be very honest about it, but well, most of, or the 99% of the conversation is Japanese, and we try to use some English in a text-based conversation on Slack, but most of the text conversation is also in Japanese, and most of the engineers can read English, so our non-Japanese engineer is writing a document in English, which is totally fine. But still, most of the documents are also in Japanese.
Yeah, but in the future, you maybe want to make it more international? Or...
Yes, we are trying to take baby steps for globalization.
Yeah, thank you for that. Of course, like there is a question always, as you can see here, like how did you come up with the name BONX? You told us the story, the history of the company, but how about the name?
Yeah, about the name. It was called BONX in the beginning. So bank is like, the slope, bank. And also it was short for the backcountry audio network communication system, BANCS. And also my name is Miyasaka. Saka is, bank. So that it was called BONX first. But we wanted to make it global from the beginning. So we did the global research about trademark, and BONX was taken already by Tata in India for some financial and bank related software. So we needed to change the name. So we just wrote down BONX on the paper, and I went to Hub, the Irish pub in Shibuya, and asked around random people from random country, like which sounds great. And actually BONX was pretty popular. And also I've got a great suggestion that we should change the last CS to X. So it's cooler. So that's how it was born.
Oh, that's quite interesting. Quite personal story. Nice touch there. Yeah, okay, so there were a couple of questions actually that we received even before the webinar, right?
Mhm.
You touched base most of those, and I mean, kind of like answered all of those questions. But what is the current challenge with the product that you're having, and what do you want to achieve with, getting more engineers joining the company at this point?
So we first of all, we want to just make the real solid backend, which is enterprise quality. And also we have a great potential in terms of data. The communication is already great. It became much smoother with BONX. Then the next step is, it's not like walkie-talkies. It's internet-based product. So you can actually record all the conversation data, and we actually already offering that kind of service. You can record the conversation. So we've got the basically big conversation data of the teams, working on the fields, which is not accessible by anybody. All those conversations in the fields have been just, vanished before, but now we have it. So we are starting to work on it. And the first step we're doing some like analysis of it and offering that to customers. So you can see like, who is talking, that much, and, which talk room is active, stuff like that. But, as you can imagine, there's much more sophisticated way of doing the analysis, like what kind of words are said regularly, or probably you can spot the, some potential risk of the fields, from the conversation. So we can start working on it because we now have the great customer base and also infrastructure a system. So that's going to be a major challenge for us.
All right, thanks. Yeah, that's quite detailed answer. Thank you for that. Now, there is another question just came in, like, how do you see BONX growing in the long term? And do you have any dream markets you would like it to become an industry standard solution?
Well, yeah, it can definitely be industry standard. If you can see our user portfolio, there are many global great brands. And if they, for example, if Hilton decides to use BONX globally, that's huge. They have more than 100,000 employees worldwide. Hilton alone can be that sort of, size, of the business. So our market is really big, and we already have the enterprise clients. So just we want to be the global partner, the communication partner of those global brands. So that's where we're going.
Okay, yeah, and there were questions before also about the data and AI before, but also like big data analysis. Question just came in about like, do you see any kind of potential issues with privacy laws blocking it?
Yeah, we have to be very, very careful about it. Especially Europe is being very restrictive or cautious about the privacy. And now what we're doing is, we get they can only record a conversation. I mean, we only offer that kind of data sort of service to enterprise B2B users. It's easier to get the permission and offer the service for them. If we are going to do that sort of thing for consumers, maybe things would be different. But that's we're not really doing it right now. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it depends on like if you're going to work with business or consumers.
Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah, I understand. Now, yeah, kind of like one of the, I guess, last questions, and these are also very important ones. Like, as a hardware capital intense business, how do you plan to reach critical mass?
Well, critical mass is, I think, more applicable as a concept for consumers. And I would admit it'd be difficult when compared to software-only service to acquire the first, critical mass. Like Twitter, Instagram, they can just, grow exponentially. But if it's hardware, it cannot, grow in that sort of velocity. But our service, our main business is already B2B. And we somehow got to start from the top of the pyramid, which is, the Italian brand. So the dynamics is different. If it's consumers, they will care about if everybody's using it or not. But for example, if you are in the the theme park, you call it theme park industry, you just only look at Disneyland, right? If Disneyland is using it, you would naturally think, oh, that should be the greatest thing in the world. So it's important to get that sort of top of the pyramid customer, and we luckily succeeded in the beginning. So yeah, that was what happened to us.
It's sort of kind of like starting from the big players.
Mm-hmm. Or the respected player.
Okay, and regarding like a question, a technology stack, how do you ensure security across different organizations, from hardware to software safeguards?
Safeguards, security across securities. If you're talking about hardware kind of security, they're just regulations, country regulations. So we have to have for example, like FCC if you want to distribute in the States, or and then something different for distribution in Europe. It's simple. We just have to pay for that kind of certification in terms of hardware. And yeah, I think I already talked about the software privacy, so it's different from safeguards, but I don't really know what to answer as in terms of software.
Here's kind of like a follow-up to that, maybe to elaborate more. How is data stored differently so ensure like data does not leak across?
It doesn't leak, unless AWS is hacked or something unthinkable happens. So I think it's pretty safe. And yeah, the communication is encrypted to some extent as well. So
okay, thanks. So and kind of like let's make this kind of like last question. In terms of development culture, how do you balance rapidly changing market demands with releasing a stable and reliable product?
well, that's very good questions. Yeah, we do have a lot of requests from clients, like, can we do this with voice? But we have to be very selective first. And I always think about our core. The most important, edge is the UX of the communication. So that's the main focus. Not the main, that's the most important thing, Then we can think about additional features which works on it. So that's a priority.
Okay, well, thank you, Taka-san. It was really a pleasure hearing your story about the BONX. It was super interesting. So everyone, well, thank you so much for coming. This is the end of tonight's webinar. Thank you for joining it, and hope we were able to provide you with some insights on BONX business and how they work and who they are. Of course, I guess you have a lot of questions, additional questions to ask. Feel free to reach out to me, or if you just want to apply for any position, feel free to contact me on LinkedIn or send an email to me. My email is uros@wahl+case.com. So it's uros@wahl+case.com. And as I mentioned before in the introduction, we will send you an email with a recording tomorrow in case you missed parts of the webinar or you just want to share it with your friends. So once again, thank you all for joining. Taka-san, thank you so much again. And everyone have a nice evening. Hope to see you at one of our next webinars as well. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. See you.
Bye.
Bye.